And I have one stunt class for today. So I'm going to kind of jump around. We're going to do some different stuff within it. We're going to do some body position and body awareness stuff. We're going to work on some more elite skills. We're going to work on some advanced skills. I'm going to show you some skills that are legal this year that were not legal last year, which will be a little awkward since we haven't actually gone through the rules presentation yet, which will be the next session. Okay, so I'm not going to go into great detail about some of the stuff and why you're seeing it and it's legal until we get to the rules part. But if you have any questions during this, please raise your hand. If you want to see something again, please raise your hand. If there's something you're really interested in and you haven't seen it as we get towards the end of this class, raise your hand and ask me. Now, these ladies and gentlemen here, they are with UCA staff, but they don't travel around as a group the entire time, so they don't work together like the squad does. If you ask for something that we have not warmed up or haven't worked on yet, you may see me have to set it up, practice it through, etc. So just keep that in mind. It's a little bit different than a camp where they would prepare everything for in advance. We just kind of come in here and get ready for the coaches conference and see what it is you all need. Okay, so I'm going to kind of jump around. This won't be in a legitimate progression, so don't write this down as, okay, so after you learn the step-up drill, you do a pull-up to the top. No, that is not a proper progression. But we're going to be jumping around and showing styles, different rule interpretations, body positions, how to do lead-up skills, how to clean up skills, and stuff like that. Okay, let's go with that. All right, come on now. Here, let's do the step-up drill. So here's what I want to do first. I'm going to talk a little bit about body position, body awareness, how to clean up all of your skills, a couple of drills that you can do for your kids, and some of the main things to look for when you are watching stunts. Because one thing that you don't want to do is especially with inversions and how the inversions have really grown, and you've been able to do so many more of those. We're going to show you some here in a minute. But you've got a lot more transitions. People are transitioning in and out of stunt. So it's not just stunt and cradle, stunt and cradle. It's stunt to this, transition to that, three-quarter prone to this, what have you. As you work on transitions, don't get so wrapped up in, oh my gosh, I've got to watch from this to this to this to this to this to this. Why is it falling right here? Or why is it missing right here? Instead, look at the basics of every stunt. Because all stunts have some basic things you're going to look for. That's what we're going to talk about right now. I'm going to show you some different skills to demonstrate what those are and the best way to look at it. So the first thing I want to do is, I want to show you this because I'm going to show you another stunt in a second outside of this. So first of all, this is just basically a step-up drill. Okay? Some people use them, some people don't. As a drill, I would highly recommend for all your new tops that you do. Go ahead and step back down. I want you to turn sideways so face that way and do it again. So now I want you to watch right here. When she gets set up, the first thing that you'll notice is her knees are above her hip. And for a lot of stunting, especially when you're doing ground-ups, walk-ins, things like that, those stunts will start with the knee above the hip. But that is a bad position for stunters. Okay? We want the hip up above the knee as quickly as possible. So what does she do? Go ahead and go. She jumps off the ground to get her hip above her knee. What she doesn't do is, go ahead and step back down, we'll leave your foot up. What she doesn't do is step down on this foot. Does everybody see the difference? She doesn't step here, she jumps here, making this line. That is key for all stunting. When you're starting to work in, especially when you start doing walk-in one-leg stunts, and this is when you're holding them up and dropping them down, whatever. A lot of times you'll see your bases will be in here, they'll walk in, the base's arms will go to here, and then they'll start pulling up from that position. It's because your top is coming in and stepping on the bases. All right? Picture yourself walking up a set of stairs when you go to lunch. What do? You step up, push down, step up, push down. Stunting is the opposite. You step up and you come off the back foot. If you do that, and if you watch your tops, when you start getting into ground up, walk-in single bases and things like that, they're going to get those tricks a whole lot faster if you will just have them practice this. And you don't have to set up step-up drills. You could line up all your tops on a bleacher and just have them step up on the bleacher, pushing off the back leg, step up on the bleacher. Okay? It doesn't take a whole lot of time to do that to clean it up. Now, so turn sideways and show it one more time. Really look at the body position that she's in. Okay? She just jumps here and then pushes down through here, lifting in her shoulders. Okay? Now, let's do something else. So let's do a ground and liberty. Let's do a ground and liberty facing the front. Okay, so now this is a upper level skill. I mean, it's high advanced, slow elite. Okay, so it's ground up to one leg stunt. Okay? Here we are in a good position. Go ahead and bump it back down. All right, now let's turn sideways. Turn sideways. All right, so walk into the ground up and stop. All right, so we're going to walk in the liberty again just like we did. They go walk in, they tap, stop. You step out. All right, what position is she in again? her knee is, when she's getting ready to come off the ground, it's slightly above her hips. She has to get back in position where the hips are above. This is the step-up drill that you just saw. So if you teach her not to stomp down on this foot, she won't stomp down on the base's arms and lock them out. Okay? That's why progressions are so key. One thing I keep trying, I want to emphasize to coaches, and especially the last few summers, I do a whole lot of coaches conferences. You all are the adult in the room. You all control the practice. No matter what your squad says they can or can't do or what they want to do, you ultimately have the decision. And safety should be first. So if you have to slow down the practice or slow down your team to get proper technique into the right position, then that's what you should do. And that's why drills like this are so important. Okay? So, Liberty, ground up Liberty is basically a step-up drill that uses that momentum off the ground, then they drive up through and lock it out. Alright? But if you don't have that down good, you're going to have fake tops that are stomping down on their bases. Same with basket tosses and when you get into these more elite skills as well. Any questions on that? Okay, so I'm going to show you something else. So when you're doing a lot of your stunts, so you've got your tops, they need to jump off the ground, wait through the arms. Bring up hand drill. All right, so wait through the arms. This is going to be key, and it's really important when you start doing inversions as well. So here's a hang drill. I'm going to let her. I'm going to test her right here. I want to see, is she strong enough to control her own weight? Now I'm going to continue to talk, and we'll see how long she can hang in this position. Right now, grab her feet. If she has her weight in her arms, they don't even need the momentum jumping off the ground. They can just go to an extension from there. So they can just go from there because she is making herself light in their hands. She pushes all through the shoulders to stand herself up. Come on down. Okay? And you'll notice even on the bump down, whenever they're bumping down, they're bringing her down, but they're still giving resistance. They don't just drop it. She doesn't drop like this. She keeps her shoulders up and waits till she feels the shoulders, then she puts her weight back through the arms. Okay? So you're always looking for that. So one really good stunt. So a lot of people, they'll go, man, I'm doing this ground up Liberty. It goes up. It looks like it's going to be perfect. And then it comes and falls down the middle, or it drops back down the middle. Why is it doing that? Here's what you're going to look for. Now, they don't like this drill, but I'm going to show it to you. First of all, you do not do this drill with your kids. I'm doing this drill with them so you can see visually what you should be looking for. Okay, but don't ask your kids to do this. So we're going to do a ground up Liberty. Now, I want you to watch. So the ground up Liberty goes up. They're driving through here, and I want you to relax your shoulders. So now they relax their shoulders. See, their hips will start getting loose. You know, drive down, stand back up through. You see the difference? You see how she dropped a little bit? Then they stood back up through it. Okay, come on down. Okay? When you're watching your stunters, one of the first things I always look for is I don't get wrapped up in what all is going on. I look for a few key things, and one of them is I look at the base's shoulders. I want to see if they're still in this position or this position. And it's subtle, but it's a big difference. This is so much more of a strong position to be in than this position. Because as soon as they do this, because a lot of bases will go, just if the stunt goes up, we're good to go. It's up, we're good to go. And then their hips shoot in like this. And now they're loose again. Okay? They're not good to go. They're only halfway through, bless you.
Thank you.
All right? The other half is staying up in that position, which means continually to push up through the stunt. Okay? So look at their shoulders. The other thing that's key, do the ground. One more time. Especially when you start spinning, a lot of transition stuff, look how close they are together. Step, see if you can step out some. You don't walk out. Okay, now step back in together. Okay? Again, don't do that with your kids. All right, come on down. You see the difference? As they started widening, instead of the trunk of their body holding the weight, the arms. It starts transferring arms. Now it's too heavy and it comes down. And especially when you start spinning, they will spin and they'll step out to look at it. And if both of them step out to look at it, they're catching stunts like this instead of catching stunts like this. So I look at their shoulders and I look at the distance between the two bases, which is, those are two of the most key things right there. Okay? So those are things you want to look for your bases. The last thing we're going to show, and then we're going to get into some stunts. The last thing is most important when you're stunting is speed off the ground. Because the more you can build up speed here, then you let that momentum where she floats in here, they can lock out their arms and it's almost weightless. Okay, does everybody understand that? Well, speed off the ground has to do with using your legs. So I'm going to show you a drill, and you can even have your kid. Now, this drill you can actually have your kids try, all right? It's just a little chuck toss type drill. So they load in. Watch the base's hands. Okay, the
base's hands stopped right here. I didn't want them to go any higher. I wanted to see how much power they built up through their legs. You see how high she went up off their hands? If you're getting that kind of drive off the hands, then you're getting some good speed and power off the ground. So right in here, it's going to be light so that you can lock through and you're not going to feel that weight. But if they do a chuck toss and the top person goes and lands almost as soon on it, then they're really slow out of the bottom. They're not using their legs. They're probably trying to use their low back and slingshot. And we don't want that because it's hard on their low back. Also, they don't get nearly the power. When you're stunning, especially if you're using all girls, this is where their power is. You want to use their legs. Okay? Take the pressure off their arms. All right, so do that one more time. And go continue this time on the side. So they load in, drive with their legs, and pop. Okay? You get that kind of height, you're going to get good momentum and be able to lock it out, lock the stunts out at the top. All right? Any questions on any of that? So tops, we're looking for lifting through the shoulders. We're looking for especially jumping off the ground and weight in the arms whenever they're transitioning or they're in that low position. It's very important, the weight in their arms, especially on your basket tosses. Okay? Can you do an extension by loading in and she sits back on her heels and the third person's holding the hips? Sure, you probably could put that up. But if you took that same technique to a basket toss, what's going to happen? You're going to throw her off the back. She's going to go over back. And you're going to have a potential catastrophic injury. Okay? It's one thing to be trying a double base extension and it fall down the middle, and trying a basket toss and it fall. So you need to build up the proper technique through all of these skills before you get into something like basket tosses and the kick pull, toe touches, and those type of things. All right? That's where you're setting your kids up for success. You're teaching them at the beginning so they can go through the harder stuff a little bit quicker, but they're not dragging these little bad habits dragging bad habits with them that are then slowing them down on these more elite skills. Or not even elite, even more visual skills. Like a lot of inversions are not technically an elite skill. All right, an inversion at double base shoulders is cool, but it's not nearly as hard as a full up to the top. Okay, but it's a cool transition, and especially since they're just now becoming legal, people are wanting to try to use them. So you want these good techniques. When you start doing these inversions, weight through the arms is so key for a top. So that's one of the things they need to learn. Any questions on any of that? Awesome. All right, so let's go into some tricks. So we're going to go in, we're going to just do a couple different body positions. These are the main body positions that we teach. We're also then going to work on full downs, and then we'll get into some inversions and show you some new stuff that's now legal. So let's do just a heel stretch. Just bump down. Yeah, so first we're going to do the heel stretch. On this one again, everything's the same from a technique standpoint. You can pull straight to it, or you can go to target and kick up. Go ahead and come on down. Okay, notice on the bump down, like on this, or for an arabesque, depending on how you dismount. When they bump down, what did they do? They gave that dip, she pulls her leg back to here, but they didn't move yet. Then they resist coming down, she stands up tall, when she touches the shoulders, transfers her weight back through. Okay, come on. So, if you're working with somebody and they haven't done heel stretches before, first of all, of course, you want to do them here. I don't want to say, all right, let's see what your heel stretch looks like, and I'm going to put you 6.5 feet off the ground to do it. Let's do it on the ground first. So go ahead and kick your heel stretch up. So when you're working on your heel stretch, the main thing to look for is that right here now becomes the center of her weight. So she's going to have to pull this arm slightly across this way to counter the weight of the leg coming up out of the body line. So go back when you stand back, because when you stand back down, here's your body line. When she kicks the heel stretch up, that body line shifts to this leg. So you need to shift some weight over here to counterbalance. That's the main thing you're looking for. And then the other thing is you want somebody that's flexible. All right. I may be really good with weight through the arms, but I don't think you want to put my heel stretch up into a stunt. All right. I think I cramped up. I just cramped up. All right. So that's what you're looking for with that body position. Okay. Any questions on the heel stretches? All right. Let's do their best. We got to quarter turn starts. All right. So now we're going to go to arabesque. So on this one, they'll pull up to the target again. They're going to go ahead and pull to it. Bump it down. Again, she bumps back to the position, and then they bring her down slowly. Okay? On the arabesque, main thing that you're looking for here. Now, you need to talk, when you're getting ready to do arabesque, first of all, you need to let your bases know. The top is going to toe more than normal. That's just the way this stunt works. So they need to have a good grip on the toe. They need to be giving resistance there. Okay, because she's going to go to her toe and she wants to feel resistance on the toe in particular. So go ahead and pull it up. So she goes to her arabesque here. Main thing that you're looking for is head and shoulders are up, nice line here. This is not a good arabesque. This is a T. This is a T motion. All right, now stand back up. This is what you're looking for. So you have to have good core strength and flexibility through here. And again, she's going to definitely want to go onto her toes a little bit more. You see. Okay, she's going to definitely be on the toe a little bit more. So that's what you're looking for with the arabesque. All right. Any questions on that body position? Okay, awesome. Okay, one other way to do arabesque is a little quarter turn to it, so they'll actually come towards you facing the front, and then they'll turn sideways, and then go to the arabesque, so they can kick straight to it, whichever way that they're used to doing it. Go ahead and come down. You'll notice what the bases did. They walked it in here, they tapped it as it went up, they just real nice and smooth. Main base takes just barely one step, it opens up. Other base just does a little quarter turn there. Back spot follows them around. Okay, real simple, but it's just a little bit different visual change for you. All right, because it's a side-facing stunt. All right, cool. Let's go with full down. So let's talk about the basic, just a basic teaching of full down, and then we'll go into some inversions next. So, what are you going to do first?
T-touchdown.
Okay. So here we are. When you're first working on this, this is the first thing that you want to do. Go ahead. Good. Okay. So when she went to do her full down, you can be in a T, you can be in a high V, whatever they're comfortable with. But the main thing we're wanting them to learn is lift the shoulders. All right. So when they popped her, she rode up and lifted. And you can be here and pull to here because this is still the shoulders lifting. You can go T to a touchdown, which is what she's comfortable with. Whichever one you want. But that's what you're looking for. Now, if you have somebody who has never spun at all before, and you're like going, I have to at least get her some kind of comfortable with it, or at least a basic understanding. You can also do this. Spin on the ground, fall back to me. Okay, so she's going to open up, spin, and then she'll go back into a T and fall back to me. Okay? Now, is it exactly like a full? No, because there's friction. She's having to move her feet, which you normally don't do. But it at least gives her the opportunity to see what it looks like trying to spot things, opening back up out of the spin, okay, that kind of stuff. So you can do that drill with them prior to putting them up in the stunt. But basically, at some point, you're going to have to do the full down. I recommend doing it from a prep first. It's actually a little bit harder. You won't get quite the same amount of drive as you would like a pump and go, but it's more controlled. The movement, there's not a lot of continuous movement, so it's more controlled. Okay? When you go to do this, the main thing you're going to do first is do a high pump. So when I'm going to teach a full down for the first time, if I walk up to a stunt group, they say, hey, we're working on full down. So the first thing I ask is, I just ask them, I want to see a high pop cradle. Okay, so I want to watch her do that. Beautiful. She rides it straight up and down. It goes nice and high. I know that she understands what it means to ride till you float and then pull the cradle. Okay? If I walked up to a stunt group and they go, hey, we're working on full downs, can you help us? And I go, yeah, sure, let's see you do one. You have no idea what they're going to do. Sure, they may actually full down and they may understand. They may also spin right off the back of it. So look at the cradle first and see where they are with the cradle. Now, once you get somebody who's really comfortable with fulling, they're looking good, T to here, everything's going good, they're opening up perfectly, they're riding it as high as they can, and you want to clean up the full, then you can go to this full. And again, you can go out of prep, extension, doesn't matter, whichever one you're comfortable with. But now watch what she does. She's going to go high V. As she goes up, she drops her arms down. Okay? Everything else about the full is the same. But now, as she goes up through here, she's actually, what you want her to think is, I'm pulling myself up through my arms. I'm not dropping my arms. There's a difference. You want them to mentally think, I'm going to pull myself up through the arms. That way, they'll continually be lifting their shoulders. That's why we don't teach that technique first, although it's the cleaner of the two fulls. Because if I took somebody who had never full, and the first thing I told them was, okay, now when you go to full, you're going to drop your shoulders down. They're going to drop their shoulders because you've not taught them yet to ride their shoulders as they full. So that's why we always try to do the other one first. Once they're comfortable, then we clean it up with the arms. Okay? Does that make sense for everybody? Everybody good with that? Any questions on the fulls? We're going to full down out of the heel. I keep saying we. I don't do anything. I just thought, man, I'm actually sweating already. So I'm exhausted. But we're going to full down from heel stretch also, just to show you a different body position. Again, important on this. Did you see how when they got ready to pop her, she was still in the heel stretch? If she started releasing early and dropping, she would not ride the pop. But what's most important with full downs is height. Okay? That's why, like basket tosses, I tell people throw baskets as high as you can. The higher the basket, the more you are protected, as long as everything else is going well. Okay? So same with these. She came off of their hands still in the heel stretch. And then on a heel stretch specifically, when you drop that, you're just going to bring that foot kind of right into the middle of the other foot. That will help start this rotation. Okay? And when you're looking at this rotation, you're wanting to see the hips and the shoulders move at the same time. You don't want to see shoulders, then hips. Okay? You don't want to be in two pieces. You want to try to pull the whole body over top at the same time. The heel stretch full is actually, would you say it's easier than the extension full? Like just physically? It's physically easier. The reason it's not taught first is because the heel stretch itself is harder than the double base extension. But really, because you have this leg out here, this leg can help initiate your spin. Okay? So when you're looking at these heel stretch fulls, make sure they're holding it when they pop. Don't start fulling or dropping the leg before they pop. And just look and see if that leg's coming right into here. What you don't want is you don't want the leg across here because then their hips get ahead of their shoulders. Okay? Any questions on that, on the heel stretch full? Awesome. Are we that good, or it's my talking ability? I've talked you all into a slumber. All right, so let's go into some inversions. All right, we'll see how that goes for you. Come on now. So we're going to show you some inversions. I'm going to cover some rules that were legal last year. We'll show you some of those, and then we'll also show you a couple things that are legal this year. Again, I'm not going to go into detail with the rules until we get to the actual session, but just know that all these skills are legal. But before we get to that, the first thing. All right, so I see this all the time, believe it or not. You'll come up and they'll say, hey, we're working on the inversion, like on the double base thigh stand. I'll say, oh, okay, cool. I'll say, so before they even start, I'll say, well, who's the top? Let me see you do a handstand. So you do a handstand. I'm going to catch your foot. I'm going to catch your foot. You'll be surprised how many times you do that and they go, boom, because they're not strong enough to hold a handstand. And I was just getting ready to put them 3 feet off the ground on somebody's thighs. So you always want to test here. And the thing about testing your tops is, do it again, I don't really care if she can balance it or not. That's not most important. I mean, if she can, great. If she can't, that's okay. I'm looking for this. I want to see if she's able to drive through, keep her shoulders locked out, and control her weight. The bases will balance in the inversions anyway for the most part. All right? So again, we can sit here and just keep talking about this. See how long until the blood runs through her head. All right, so that's the first thing you always want to do. Test them before you do it. It's your job to keep them safe. And some of these basic things people forget about because they get excited about the stunt, and the next thing you know, they're trying to do it, and then your tops are just collapsing through here. And when we get up to these shoulder level stunts, I'm going to show you exactly what I'm talking about with these, how these arms should look. So let's do the double base side stand one first, just step 1. So the first one, I'm just going to show you a low level one. This just helps your tops get used to being off the ground, in an inverted position, and not on just like flat ground. So they're on something where they have to grip it, they have to be able to control with their fingers. Your bases here, go ahead and step back down real quick. On the bases for these little walk-in double base thigh stand ones, it doesn't really matter which way their hands are, and a lot of times their hand placement will be dictated by which way the top comes towards them or what they're going to do out of it. So in this case, go ahead and do it again. So they get down to the double base thigh stand, she walks in back to front. So most of the time on the back to front, you see how their front arm is up here? It'll block the body. So their back hand will kind of be on this shoulder area, helping to lift up. Your back spot just walks in behind. They're going to help with the balance here and keeping them up nice and tall. Go ahead and come back down. The other thing you want to practice on this, we'll turn sideways and do it once. The other thing you want to practice on these like double base thigh stands before you start getting to shoulder level is I want you to look at her body line. Okay? So look at her body line here. She's going to be tight through her hips, nice straight up and down. Okay? Go ahead and step back down. When we get up to the shoulders, you want your inversions to be as tall as possible because it's a better visual. Okay? A lot of times they'll almost sit on the back spot, like they'll be even angles like this. That's not even an inversion hardly. Okay? Now, will it always be this position? No. I mean, there'll be a lot of times they'll be about like this, but we want to try to make them as tall as possible because it's a prettier look, and for a lot of the transitions out of it, it actually helps if they're standing up nice and tall. It gives the transition a better look, etc. Okay? Any questions on the basics of the inversion? All right, so let's go ahead and go to shoulder cradle. Okay. So we're going to show you these. These were legal last year. These were the two ways that you could release an inversion and it be legal. This first one is to a cradle. Okay, so you can actually release her, so while she's inverted, she doesn't have to be touched if she's going to a dismount. That's how the rule reads. All right? And a dismount is the cradle or to the ground. Okay? So let's do that again facing me. Again, watch her body lines. Now on this one, it's really important and helpful if they stand her up straight because her feet are actually going to come out the front. A lot of the other transitions, they pipe down, but on this one, her feet actually going to come this way anyway. So if you have her laid way back, it's just that much more distance she has to cover to get to the cradle. So the taller she is, the less distance. Everybody see that? Also, again, it's just a nicer look. All right? So you're inverted. Main thing here is when we drive it up, look at your tops and watch their hips. We want the hips to be nice and tight because even though she's upside down, we want her to still ride it as high as possible before she goes to whatever dismount she's going to. Height makes it safe. Okay, because it gives the bases time to see what's going on, gives her time to move in the air. Okay, any questions on the cradle one? So the other thing you could do last year is you could also dismount to the ground. And most of the time when we show this, we always show it to a 1-foot dismount, and basically we're using it like a J-up or a quick toss grip. Okay, so they drive up nice and high, and they go to the dismount here. Now, what's going to happen on this side? She'll grab the thigh like a quick toss. She's going to go on the waist, and she's going to be on her wrist, almost like a co-ed toss. And then you've got the 1 foot over here. Out of this position, you could J up to something. You could go up to one leg. It's not the exact same grip. As it goes up, she would switch over to her secondary base grip. But you could come off the ground like that, so straight into a one-leg type. Or you could go straight into a double base. You just go up, and then she releases the thigh and grabs the foot. Okay. Any questions on that one? All right, cool. Now, these two new, actually, let's do football. Yeah, sorry. Okay, also legal for the last few years has been this inversion that can be released. So I'm basically showing you all the ways you can release an inversion. All right, so on this one, this is out of a prone position, and basically they tap down and they flip. They'll do a flip up to low. Okay? Now, that was a whole little transition, all right, but we're going to break it down here for you. So come on back up here. So the main thing is on this one, the way the rule reads, and this has been legal for a few years now, inverted off the ground, you can release to a loading position. And this is going to be really important because of the next two inversions I'm going to show you. These are new inversions, and people are getting the two rules a little confused. So just want to make sure everybody understands. Inverted off the ground, you can release to a low position only. You can't go to a prep. So I can't do a college back handspring up to prep, but I could do a back handspring up to low. Everybody understand the rule itself? All right, so let's just do drop. Yeah. So here's the key thing I want y'all to watch on this. Watch their arms, these two arms right here, when they do the bounce and how they switch a grip before it gets down to the ground. Stop. Okay, you see how they brought the arm out and came out on top of the shoulder. Now they're in position to drive through the shoulder and back up through. Okay? The back spot's going to be on the shins, ankle type area. She's going to start getting this up, and then she'll get the feet going. Then she's going to watch that body come through, step in behind, and block it. Whether it means she has to block it here a little bit, or as it goes up, she'll start helping on the ankles or the hips to control it, whatever she needs to do. Any of those versions are fine. Okay? But the main thing is, watch the two bases prone. When they go to tap it, they'll come out from underneath and get on the shoulder, so now they're in position to drop. Okay? So let's do it one more time with the full little sequence. And you can get to this any way you want. We're going to show you a 3/4 and a full to prone. You're just going to drop straight, tap, up high, go to the low. Okay? One other thing, thank you for the golf ball. One other thing, when you are teaching your tops this, the main thing you want to tell the top, you don't need to come out, unless you just want to talk to me. No?
Don't swing your arms around or you'll knock out your feet.
When you're talking to them about this movement right here, they're going to think pull to the load position, because that's what they're landing in. And if they pull to the low position, where are they really going to probably go? Especially if they build up a lot of speed. They're going to go right out the front, and they're going to fall this way. What you want her to be thinking is, as she comes around and spots that ceiling or whatever, I'm going to pull to the ceiling. That takes me up. The bases will get her rotating, but I want to get up. So then I get up here high, then when I look down, I'm above it, and I land down in the loading position. You see the difference? And whenever we teach stuff, if we teach to prep, you'll see the bases go here to prep. They don't go to prep. We want things to go up and come down on top. Makes it easier for the bases, easier for the top people to put weight in their arms. Does that make sense for everyone? So when you're talking to your tops, make sure they focus on looking up and driving up, not pulling to the low position, because they'll throw themselves out the front. Okay? Everybody good on that one? All right, now let's show you a couple new ones. Made me feel old, but it was very fun. All right, so let's show you two new ones. So now, in the past, you could release the cradle, you could release the crown. Now, you can release the load, and you can release the prep. Nice. Okay, so this is where this rule and that rule we just did, that's where they've been getting confused. People have been getting confused because they're like, oh, well, if I'm here and I can go to load and prep, and off the ground I can go to load and prep, because off the ground I could already go to load. No. If you're inverted off the ground, you can only go to load, but if you're in an inverted stunt, you can now release to a loading position or a prep position. We'll show you the prep in a second. So let's do that one more time. Here's the key thing I want to, first of all, this is one of the easier ways to get into the inversion, how they're doing it. They jump into load, grab the shoulders immediately, and stand up. But here's what's key. Look at her arms. Relax your arms, relax. See the difference? Now press back up. You see the difference on that? How much more weight they had to control? Now they don't have to. Her weight is being put down through the trunk of the body. Go ahead and come down. Okay? That's what I was talking about weight through the arms earlier. When you start doing inversions, that's the first thing I look at, is I look at the angle of the arms. If this is the angle, or if the elbows are really pointing up, I need her to push up. I need her to do a push-up, like on the ground. I want her to do a push-up and get herself almost back into a 90 degree at the elbow. That's what you're looking for. Okay, everybody see that? All right, so we're going to do it again. Go ahead and go to the low position one more time. Again on this, even though we're going to a load, look at the height that they're trying to get, because the next step is the prep. So we want them to go high. She spots where she's going, and then settles right down. Gives the bases plenty of time to spot the feet. They bring her down. She puts the weight through the arms. Everybody see that? Everybody good on that one? Understand that? So that's legal. And you can go, it doesn't really matter on this one as much, but you can land in 1 foot. Okay? Doesn't matter as much on this one, but you could do a preparty. You can land in a preparty with this next skill. So now we'll go to prep. 2 foot prep. I don't want you pulling off the preparty. Okay, so we were just working on the low position, cradle position. Drive it up, and spot to the feet. Okay? Now, we want it to go as high as possible. There's no rule that says I have to go straight to here. Even though it says you can go to a prep level stunt. I can catch it here, but I have to establish that I finished in a prep. So where do I want to catch it? I want to catch it as high as possible, because it's safer. But you have to, if you catch it here, you have to bring it to the prep. But you can pump and go that to anything you want. It doesn't have to stop. So we can catch, pump and go, and drive. Just like the other rules where you can pump and go anything else. Okay? Everybody understand that? So the main thing is, you release to prep. You want to catch it as high as possible, but it has to come, you have to establish that you went to prep position before you went ahead and extended to something. Okay, we'll show it to you one more time. When you guys are watching this and you're first teaching your tops, one of the big things you want her to think about is, I want her feet to think she's going to keep them glued together. Now, if she thinks that, they'll probably go to about here. But if she thinks shoulders width, that's where she'll start kicking the bases out sometimes, because they'll try to place their feet out and then their feet get too wide. We want her feet to stay underneath. Let them spot the feet and see it. They can see her, she can't see them. So that's one of the key things, is look at the feet. And also the body line, just like we were talking about earlier, we want a nice tall inversion, makes it nicer, rides up nice and high, catches up here. Okay? Wow, that's a nice pop off. Yeah. Any questions on that? So those are two new things. And basically I did go over the rule more than I said I would, so you guys know the rule too. We'll skip that slide when we get to it. No, we won't. Can't skip the slide. You have to film it. We won't skip anything. Any questions on those? So those are two of the new things. Okay, awesome. Let's do, or actually, you know what, yes. Fine. Can I run this over just a couple minutes because I have the next one? And I don't?
Sure.
Just a few minutes. No, there's not a whole lot. The rules are much quicker this year. Trying to give y'all more time for some class. All right, so we're gonna do a single base here, and then I'm actually gonna do two more of the new. We'll do a single base first. So we're gonna do single base up to extension with a basic dismount. Awesome. Okay, so on this one, go ahead and turn sideways and face me. So remember we were talking about build up speed, use your legs, power off the ground. This is where it now really becomes important. All these skills lead up to other skills. All right? If your bases are not used to driving with their legs, you're not going to be able to get to this point because we've removed power. We have one less base or spotter underneath it to apply power. So when they go to do it, she's going to drop down in the same basic position as if it was a multi-base ground up. Your back spot, and there's multiple ways to do this, but I like this version best. When she walks in, just walk in and stop. When she walks in here, she's going to be on the back hip because she's still in charge of lining that hip up, right? That's what she would have been doing if there was three people. So she's going to grab the hip, and on the other side, she's going to be around the ankle. Because as it drives up, she's going to stay on the ankle, turn to the back, and grab the other ankle to help pull the feet in. The more she can pull the feet in, the more she doesn't have to worry about this and can worry about this, the lifting part. Okay? So that's what your back spot's doing. Also, she's in the best position because really if the top falls off the back, that's where she's most vulnerable. She's already in the back. She just takes a step back and she'll be able to protect her. If the top falls off the front, it's still falling and we want to help her, but she is in a better position to protect herself if she has to. Okay? That's why I like stepping her to the back, plus the line looks better on the stuff. So let's do it to the side once. Watch on this basic dismount. What she's going to do is she's going to keep the right shoe. All she's going to do is turn her left shoe over, or left shoulder over, drop it down, giving resistance. And when you teach your tops this is one of the few times I ever tell the tops, I want you to put as much weight as possible in her hands because I want to protect the knee that is landing on the ground. That knee is vulnerable at that point as far as maybe getting tweaked inside. So we want to keep the weight here to take it off of her knee. So it's one of the few times I ever tell tops to do that. All right, so we'll do it again. Speed off the ground. Okay, for the basic dismount, she just turns back to it. You come down into a co-ed here, grabs at the waist, she grabs at the wrist to give resistance, keeping your weight here. You bases here can either put both hands on the shoe, or you can go shoe and up around the hamstring. Either way is fine, whatever they're comfortable with. Some of them even hook it. They'll even hook with their elbow. Okay, that's just whatever there's no perfect way to do that. It's whatever they're comfortable with. Any questions on that? Everybody good on that? Awesome. Let's go to I'm going to skip ahead to, we showed you that prone position a little while ago where they transitioned out of it. I'm going to show you a couple spins to get into the prones. This first one is a 3/4 spin, 3/4 rotation to a prone position. Awesome. And you can front roll that out. You can tap it and flip it up to the inversion if you want, whatever you want to do. Okay? So here's what you basically do. Come out bases. So you've got your bases here. Whoever the base is, it's going to stay in contact, which is usually this base on this side. When it drops down, whenever you drop down and you're preparing to go, there's two ways you can do this. He turns, he squares his shoulders and changes his grip to this, which is perfectly fine, or you can stay to the side and change your grip. You can turn your grip here like a 360 and then just spin it out. Okay? Either way. This one is probably the smoother, it's easier technique to learn faster. Okay? So he turns to square up, puts underneath the toe, then as they drive through, they just go up high. You see how he just opens up his shoulders, all he has to do, and then my back spot slides out to square up with my other base, and they catch. As far as the rule goes, and also just from basic safety, whichever arm is furthest from the head needs to be at the waist, no lower. If you put it on the thigh, then this arm will go to the waist naturally, And now more weight will be way out here, which will then fall forward. So this arm away from the head should never go past the waist, which will move the front arm up to the chest or rib cage, which will protect the head and shoulders. Really watch that with your bases and see how they're catching it. Because they do have a tendency to slide and center their hips with their body, which puts more weight falling off either side. Okay, we'll do it one more time. Say 1/3. All right, so watch their movement again. Turns, he's just going to open up to the crowd. Back spot slides over just a little bit. They're up high here on the chest to protect the head and shoulders. Okay, and then you can front roll out of that or whatever it is you want to transition to. Any questions on the 3/4? Okay, we also have a 360 version of it. This one is basically the same thing. It's close to the same thing, except the bases are just going to move a little bit more. Again, whoever your main base is with the foot will control the positioning of the top person at the end. Okay, see how, so now, go ahead, man. The only thing that changed on this is, instead of him just making a simple move and opening up, as he turns, he's going to square back to you all, which will bring the top person around, finishing the 360 spin, the visual of it. Okay? Let's just do it one more time. Or actually, do it one time without the top. On this one, you would probably, for sure, want to walk your bases through to make sure they know, because they have a lot more movement now. So they go ahead with the timing. As they go to do it, they're going to walk through here. Watch how she has to basically come over and replace his position, and your back spot has to slide up and replace this position. And one thing you really got to work on here is, because there's more movement, they have to know how far we need to move forward or back to keep the distance on catching the rib cage. Okay, so we'll do it one more time. Nice. And then from there you can front roll off. You can tap it there and go to your inversion or whatever it is you want. Okay, but I like both of those. Those 3/4 and 360 to prones are a nice visual. Okay? Any questions on any of that? All right. Whew. I am a little tired. We were talking fast there. So I'm sorry we didn't get quite to everything, but maybe we'll get to some stuff this afternoon. We'll try to cover some more stuff. I am going to do some pyramid classes this afternoon. We're getting ready to do some the rules session as well, and I do have a little bit of video for that as well. Give them a nice round of applause.